prestigious private school diversity conference devolved into festival of tiny hat hate, according to outraged attendees. Is this going to trigger a lawsuit? I hope so. Because like I said, man, we got to start with the lawfare as well. An equality and justice conference involving many of the country's most prestigious private schools devolved into a festival of tiny hat hate that had scared students leaving in tears, according to outraged parents and attendees. I guess it's par for the course. I was going to laugh a little bit more, but then I thought, I mean, this is academia. It's pretty much adult daycare. So yeah, it's expected. They had to run to their safe space real quick. Understandable. Speakers at last week's National Association of Independent Schools annual POC conference accused Israel of ethnic cleansing and genocide and downplayed the October 7th Hamas attacks that Minecrafted 1,200 Israeli civilians, prompting some frightened kids to hide their tiny hat stars as they left early. Wait. I thought this was a Nazi thing where they were given their Star of David badge to let everyone know that they're tiny hats. Are they doing this voluntarily now? Are they branding themselves? What if they're so oppressed? Why are they voluntarily branding themselves as one of the oppressed group? Now, there's an overwhelming feeling that we were not welcome. One tiny hat senior from Milken Community School in Los Angeles told the Compost. Now, get used to it. And this is a message to everybody. This whole era of everything has to be for everyone and everyone has to be made welcome, to feel welcome everywhere, is quickly coming to an end. And gatekeeping is about to make a comeback. So if you feel unwelcome, get used to that feeling, because you're going to start feeling it in a lot more places. We felt small and insignificant, said the student who asked for anonymity out of fear of retribution. Spoiler alert, you are. The NAS, organization of 1,300 independent schools that includes Manhattan's Tony Dalton, Brearley Collegiate, Trinity, Fieldston, and Riverdale County School, held the professional development and networking event on December 4th through 7th in Colorado alongside its Student Diversity Leadership Conference. Approximately 8,000 students and adults attended. Yeah, and you know, given that this was a diversity conference, like it's not like this was some important event like you know, science. This was a diversity event. So yeah, obviously there's going to be nothing but snowflakes there, because no one else would attend an event like this. Among the New York prep schools in attendance was Brooklyn Fields School, Dalton, and Horace Mann. A complete list was not immediately available. Oh, are they all scared? They don't want to make themselves known? New York shitty parents fumed because they were given assurances that tiny hat students would be welcomed, but called the conference a festival of hate pushed by the woke NIS. Look, this is what you guys supported when it was just primarily white men that were constantly being assaulted and made to feel unwelcome everywhere. None of you had a problem with it, but now that it's happening to you, now suddenly it's bad, huh? All this, it's all indoctrination then to bring back to the school, said one New York City private school mom who spoke on a condition of anonymity. There's no transparency. I don't know if my daughter's teachers were there. I want to know that the teachers and students. I want to know that the teachers and students that went are now going to be unindoctrinated. No, I think you'd be much better off just going to another school that's not part of this, just to be sure. On the second day, Dr. Suzanne Barakat, a physician and activist, yeah, there we go, activist, claimed Israel was founded on the ethnocentric superiority and inherently systemic racist framework, according to transcripts. Mideast conflict, she said, stemmed from a strain of Zionism created when the tiny hats fled nationalism in Europe in the 1800s. So critics said she made support of the Jewish state sound like a disease. Okay, that makes sense. I was just I should have read ahead the rest of the way instead of screwing up there. They began immigrating to Palestine as colonists, Barakat said, calling it ethnic cleansing. Barakat cited the far-left group Jewish Voice for Peace and recommended a book by controversial author Ta-Nehisi Coates, known racist, by the way, who once said he didn't know if he would have been strong enough to not join the October 7th massacre. Damn, man, he really said that, dude. I knew he was bad from his 9/11 comments, but this, holy shit! And I bet he still has no problems getting work in the Western comic industry, though. They're fine with this. Yeah, they'll suddenly stand up for his right to free speech after canceling hundreds of other people for less. But now suddenly free speech is going to be important. To suggest that Israel is committing genocide, the current conflict is the most documented genocide in modern history, smacks of Holocaust denial, which like being punched in the, was like being punched in the gut, said Sarita Graham Turk, a teacher and diversity and inclusion coordinator at Milken who attended. Maybe now you're starting to see the evil of your DEI shit. There's no mention of the indigeneity of the tiny hat people. The only mention of Hamas was that they led an unprecedented assault. An email to school leaders on the day before the speech, NAS President Deborah Wilson said Barakat's remarks about the war were unprompted and unexpected. So what are you guys going to do about it? While some attendees shared the speaker's perspective and felt both seen and heard, others were deeply hurt and outraged, Wilson added. Oh, look at them trying to fence it. Yeah, some of you felt seen and heard, but others, it was like the opposite. So what are you going to do about it? Are you actually going to realize now that certain groups of people are just incompatible with each other? Oh, of course not. No, we got to sing Kumbaya, man. We got to. Critics said the apology was also insulting. So nobody could bring themselves to say the word anti-Semitism in the acknowledgement, said Sarah Solkin. Most horrifying is that the thousands of indoctrinators that were in the room to teach the nation's most elite schools, they stood and cheered. There reveals to be two things: virulent, unapologetic tiny hat hate and profound ignorance. This was a diversity conference. Were you expecting anything but ignorance? Dude, like nothing of value was ever going to come out of this. Like I don't get why you're acting all surprised. The rhetoric continued despite the apology. Oh, so it was like a South Park BP style apology. We're sorry. On the last day of the conference, Princeton professor Rua Benjamin donned Palestinian colors and earrings, showcasing watermelons and symbol of Palestinian solidarity as she addressed students and indoctrinators. I don't think the watermelons are a symbol of Palestinian solidarity. But keep telling yourselves that. Whoever tricked them into that is a fucking genius. Benjamin has vocally supported the anti-Israel BDS movement, leading a protest for it that reportedly ended with several of his students' arrest and was under investigation at Princeton for her activism. And nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen at all. At the end of her speech, she launched into a presentation of Gaza before the genocide and Israeli oppression. This immediately disturbed me, hearing her use such accusatory words and present them as facts to a crowd of thousands of people. Another Milken student said, "First time? Welcome to the club." As I began walking out and those people looking at my Star of David necklace, he continued, "I no longer felt safe at a conference literally built for inclusion." Oh, are you finally starting to realize the truth behind the most inclusive and tolerant people ever? If you just listened to us, we could have warned you about this, but nah. We're just a bunch of racist whiteys, am I right? I got out of the conference room as soon as I could and quickly noted almost all the other Tiny Hat students did as well. Tiny Hat leaders sent a letter to NAS Wednesday demanding an apology and to ensure the speaker selection procedures that prevent toxic rhetoric. You know what? This is impossible because it's going to end up like Blue Sky. Yeah, you notice that all of the most toxic people on Twitter have left and gone to Blue Sky. And they were all expecting they were going to have a utopia, and yet all that's happening is they're just reporting and canceling each other back and forth. I just hope that Musk has the brains to keep them banned from Twitter, because we are way better off without these toxic elements. Let them stay on Blue Sky and keep canceling each other. I still laugh when they legitimately believed that, like, when they go to Blue Sky, everyone that matters is going to follow them there, and very few people did. And then there was a few celebrities that went over there to find out that they're only getting like 3 likes on their posts, and they went right back to Twitter or to a mental health institute. In response to them, Wilson said all future presentations will require to be submitted in full in advance, and took the group on their offer to service as a resource, especially ahead of a conference in February. I write to express my profound remorse over having divisive and hurtful rhetoric expressed on stage at last week's NAS POC conference in Denver. There's no place for anti-Semitism at NAS events, our member schools, or in society. Another tiny hat private school mom said she has spent years trying to get people to pay attention to NAS. Finally, after this speech, parents are waking up and they are livid. Concerns of tiny hat families have long been dismissed, one former NAS NAS member school employee told the Post. Jewish mothers in particular were categorized as crazy, which meant overly involved and protective. So they were all just like Sheila from South Park, basically. Yeah, maybe it's not just overly involved and protective. It's more like just obnoxious, like difficult to deal with. There might be various reasons for that, but I think maybe that that had more to do with what they labeled you as. All right, tiny hat students were not seen or treated as a minority group. They were seen as white and rich and privileged and not deserving protection against anti-Semitic conduct of other students. Oh, wow. You really don't like it when you're treated the same as white people, do you? Even though they generally got more privileges, but Barakat and Benjamin did not immediately respond to inquiries from the compost, and they won't either. Like, I'm glad that they're at least being honest and they're mentioning, yeah, we tried to talk to these people and they didn't respond. But I think in general, across all sides, people are just learning not to talk to the media. So tiny hats are rich and privileged. Well, these ones, look, we're talking about elite private schools. Who other than rich and privileged people go to these? Yeah, lack of self-awareness. It's always so fucking hilarious. That's why I am so fucking glad that they're having this civil war on the far left right now, with the pro-Palestine and pro-Tiny Hat factions just tearing each other apart. This is exactly like I predicted almost a decade ago when I mentioned the regressive stack and how it's ultimately going to unravel. Like, I was warning back then that eventually there will come a time when all the white people are banned from everything, or they just leave, because like no one wants to hang out in an environment that's hostile towards them. So eventually all the white people are going to leave. And then this entire regressive stack based on privilege and victimhood, at that point, they're going to have to start unraveling. They're like, okay, so out of all of us oppressed people, who's the least oppressed and most privileged? And then they basically become the new oppressors. They become the new white people. And then when they get driven out, the same thing happens with the next group in line, etc. It just goes right back down the totem pole. And that's what we're seeing right now. Like the prevailing attitude on the far left is that the Palestinians are more oppressed than the tiny hats. So the tiny hats are getting kicked off the regressive stack. And we'll see where it goes from there. But regardless, it should be hilarious to watch. Well, this group that made their entire spiel about oppression and privilege, when their usual oppressor is gone, they got to do something. Meanwhile, as the most evil oppressor group, I'm just going to be sitting back watching and eating popcorn. Like, you guys go ahead, man. Keep it up. I'll support whichever side looks like they're losing to keep it evenly balanced, so you keep damaging each other.